Congratulations, you're about to become the most hated man in the kingdom, the traitor, the oathbreaker, the knight who opened the gates and let the enemy pour in like a flood of steel and fire. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. Right now, you're 7 years old. You're standing in the courtyard of your father's modest manor, clutching a wooden sword you carved yourself, and you have absolutely no idea what's about to happen to your life. Your father is a minor lord. Not rich, not powerful, just a man with enough land to call himself nobility and enough debt to keep him awake at night. He's made a deal, and you're part of it. In about 5 minutes, you'll be sent away. No warning, no preparation, just a handshake between your father and a visiting lord, and suddenly you're being loaded onto a horse with a sack of clothes and a pat on the head. You'll serve Lord Carwick as a page, your father says. His voice is steady, but his eyes won't meet yours. It's an honour. You'll learn to be a knight. You don't feel honoured. You feel like you're being sold. Because you are. Welcome to Castle Blackmere. It's cold, it's massive, and it smells like a combination of horse manure, whetstone, and the fear of small children who've just realised they're very far from home. You share a room with 6 other pages, boys from families like yours, all sent here to climb the ladder. Some are excited, most are terrified. One kid named Gareth cries every night for the first month. You don't cry. Not because you're brave, but because you learned early that tears get you nowhere except mocked. Your day starts at dawn. Before dawn, actually. You're woken by the Master of Pages, a leathery old knight named Sir Brennan, who treats children the way most people treat mildewed bread, with disgust and minimal contact. Your first task? Emptying chamber pots. Yes, you read that right. You're 7 years old and you're carrying buckets of noble waste down 3 flights of stairs to dump into the midden heap. The smell is apocalyptic. You gag the first week. By the second month, you don't even notice anymore. That's not growth, that's brain damage from the fumes. But chamber pots are just the beginning. You also serve meals. You stand behind Lord Carwick and his family during dinner, holding a pitcher of wine that weighs more than you do, waiting for them to need a refill. Your arms shake. Your back aches. You don't sit. You don't eat until they're done. And when they're done, you get the leftovers. Cold mutton and bread so hard it could be used as a weapon. You learn table manners, how to bow, how to address a knight versus a lord versus a lady. You learn that speaking without permission earns you a cuff on the ear. You learn that dropping something earns you worse. The other pages become your brothers, not by choice but by survival. Gareth the crier becomes your best friend. There's Willem, who's built like a brick and twice as smart. Roderick, who's noble-born and never lets anyone forget it. And Tam, who's quick with a joke and even quicker with his fist when someone tries to bully the younger boys. You play war games in the courtyard when you have free time, which is almost never. You practice with wooden swords, and Sir Brennan watches with the enthusiasm of a man watching moss grow. When you mess up, he doesn't yell. He just smacks you with a training staff and moves on. Efficiency. At night you study. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Most knights can't read, but Lord Carwick insists his pages learn. A knight who can't read a battle order is a dead knight, he says. You're too young to appreciate this wisdom. You're too tired to care. The years blur together. 7 becomes 8 becomes 10. You grow taller, stronger. Your hands develop calluses. Your arms stop shaking when you hold the wine pitcher. You stop missing home because this is home now. Cold, brutal, exhausting home. You're 12 when you see your first real fight. 2 knights get into an argument over a gambling debt in the Great Hall. It escalates. Swords are drawn. It's over in seconds. One knight is dead on the floor, blood pooling under the dinner table. The other is dragged away. Lord Carwick doesn't even stand up. He just signals for servants to clean it. Dinner continues. That's when you realise something important. Violence isn't shocking here. It's furniture. At 14, you're promoted. You're now a squire to Sir Edwin, one of Lord Carwick's best knights. Edwin is 35, built like a warhorse, and has a scar across his face that makes him look like he lost a fight with a plough. He didn't. He got it saving Lord Carwick's life in a border skirmish. Being a squire is different. You're not emptying chamber pots anymore. Now you're polishing armour, sharpening swords, feeding horses, maintaining equipment that costs more than your father's entire estate. And you're training, really training. Every morning you're in the yard before sunrise, sword drills, spear work, wrestling, horseback riding until your thighs are raw and bleeding. Sir Edwin doesn't coddle you. When you mess up a strike, he hits you with the flat of his blade. When you fall off your horse, he makes you run laps in full chainmail. Pain is a teacher, he says, and you're a slow learner. You hate him. You also worship him. At 16, you go to war for the first time. A minor lord 2 territories over has refused to pay tribute. Lord Carwick musters his knights and men-at-arms, and you ride out with Sir Edwin. War is nothing like the songs. There's no glory, no honour, just mud, blood, and the sound of men screaming. You watch Sir Edwin cut down 3 soldiers in a row, efficient and mechanical. You hold his spare weapons and try not to vomit. When it's over, the enemy lord is executed. His castle is sacked. You see things you wish you hadn't. You learn that soldiers don't just kill soldiers. They kill anyone. Women, children, livestock. War doesn't discriminate. That night, you sit by the campfire and stare into the flames. Sir Edwin sits beside you. First time is always the worst, he says. You nod. You don't have words. It doesn't get easier, he continues. You just get better at lying to yourself. Over the next few years, you fight in 4 more campaigns. You kill your first man at 17. He's a foot soldier, barely older than you. Your sword goes through his stomach and he looks at you with confusion, like he can't believe this is happening. You can't either. But you don't stop. You pull the blade out and move to the next one. Because that's what you do. That's what knights do. At 19, you save Sir Edwin's life. A bandit ambush on the road. 3 men jump him while he's dismounted. You're faster. You cut 2 down before they realise you're there. At 19, you save Sir Edwin's life. A bandit ambush on the road. 3 men jump him while he's dismounted. You're faster. You cut 2 down before they realise you're there. The 3rd runs. Sir Edwin claps you on the shoulder. You're ready, he says. Ready for what? You don't ask. You know. At 21, you're knighted. The knighting ceremony. The ceremony's at dawn. You've been fasting for 24 hours, praying in the chapel all night. It's tradition. It's also torture. Your knees ache from kneeling on cold stone. Your stomach growls like a feral animal. But when the sun rises and you walk into the great hall, it's worth it. The hall is packed. Lords, ladies, knights, soldiers. Everyone who matters is here. You're wearing a white tunic symbolising purity, which is ironic considering you've killed 9 men. Lord Carwick stands at the centre. Sir Edwin is beside him, holding your sword, the blade you've spent years maintaining, sharpening, caring for. Now it's yours. You kneel. Lord Carwick's voice echoes through the hall. Do you swear to uphold the honour of this house, to defend the weak, to serve your lord, to fight with courage and die with honour? I swear, you say. Your voice doesn't shake, you're surprised. Do you swear loyalty to the crown, to the kingdom, and to God above all? I swear. The sword touches your left shoulder, then your right, then the top of your head. Then rise, Sir Knight. You stand. The hall erupts in applause. You're handed your sword, your spurs, your belt. You're a knight now. Everything you've worked for since you were 7 years old. You look at Sir Edwin. He's smiling, actually smiling. Don't let it go to your head, he mutters. You're still an idiot. You grin. For the first time in 14 years, you feel like you've arrived. You have no idea how short this feeling will last. You're a knight now, and the world opens up. You're assigned your own quarters in the castle. You have a squire, a nervous 15-year-old named Peter, who looks at you the way you used to look at Sir Edwin. You try to be kinder than Edwin was. You're not sure you succeed. Your first tournament is 3 months after your knighting. It's a regional competition, minor lords and knights showing off for bragging rights. You enter the melee, a chaotic free-for-all where the last man standing wins. You don't win, you don't even place. You get knocked out in the second round by a knight twice your size who hits you so hard your helmet rings like a church bell. You wake up in the dirt, ears ringing, pride shattered. Sir Edwin finds you afterward. Lost, huh? Yes. Good. Means you'll train harder. He's right. You do. Over the next 2 years, you enter 8 more tournaments. You lose 6, you win 2. Slowly, you build a reputation, not as the best, but as the one who doesn't quit. The one who gets knocked down and gets back up. The crowd starts to recognise you. At 24, you're sent to the capital. The king is hosting a grand tournament, and Lord Carwick wants his best knights there. You, Sir Edwin, and 3 others ride for a week to reach the city. The capital is overwhelming. Tens of thousands of people crammed into streets that smell like sweat, roasted meat and ambition. The castle looms over everything, a monument to power that makes Castle Blackmere look like a barn. The tournament lasts 3 days. You compete in the joust, the melee, and the archery contest. You're terrible at archery. You're decent at jousting. But the melee? That's where you shine. 50 knights enter. It's brutal. Shields splinter. Men go down hard. You move like you're back in the border wars, efficient and ruthless. You take down 4 knights, then 6, then 8. In the final round, it's you and one other knight. He's from the south, a famous champion named Sir Aldric the Bold. He's older, stronger, more experienced. The fight lasts 10 minutes. He breaks your shield. You break his sword. It comes down to wrestling in the dirt, both of you exhausted, armor-dented, pride on the line. You win. Barely. You pin him down and he yields. The crowd goes insane. The king himself presents you with the prize, a purse of gold and a ceremonial sword. He's younger than you expected, maybe 30, with sharp eyes and a calculating smile. "What's your name, knight?" he asks. You tell him. "I'll remember it," he says. You don't know if that's a promise or a threat. 6 months later, you receive a summons. The king wants you at court. Lord Carwick is thrilled. "This is your chance," he says. "Serve the king well and you'll rise higher than I ever could." You move to the capital. You're assigned to the King's Guard, an elite unit of knights who protect the royal family. It's prestigious. It's also exhausting. You stand watch for 12-hour shifts. You attend every banquet, every council meeting, every tedious diplomatic function. But you also see how power really works. The king is brilliant. He's also ruthless. You watch him charm foreign ambassadors during dinner, then order their assassination before dessert. You watch him smile at lords who pledge loyalty, knowing half of them are plotting against him. He trusts no one, except, slowly, you. You're assigned as his personal escort. You ride with him on hunts. You stand guard during private meetings. You become the silent shadow in the corner of the room, and you start to see the cracks. The kingdom is rotting from the inside. The nobles are more interested in fighting each other than defending the realm. The peasants are taxed into starvation. The borders are weak. Enemies are circling. You bring this up once, carefully, after a few drinks. The king laughs. "You think I don't know? I know everything. The trick is making them think they have power while I hold all the strings." "But what happens when the strings break?" His smile fades. "Then we cut the deadweight and tie new ones." You don't ask what counts as deadweight. At 28, you're the most celebrated knight in the kingdom. You've won 12 tournaments. You've fought in 7 campaigns. You're feared, respected, and quietly wealthy. From prize money and royal gifts, you're also deeply, deeply tired, because you've started to see what you're protecting, and it's not pretty. Act 3. The breaking point. The border war. It starts with a skirmish on the northern border. A neighbouring kingdom, one the realm has had an uneasy peace with for decades, sends raiders across. Villages are burned. People are killed. The king's response is immediate. Total war. You ride north with the royal army. 5,000 men. The largest force you've ever seen assembled. The king is coming too, which is unusual. Kings don't usually risk themselves in battle. But this king does, because he wants to send a message. The campaign is brutal. You fight 3 major battles in 2 months. The enemy is fierce, well-trained, and desperate. They're not raiding for sport, they're starving. Their own kingdom is collapsing from famine, and they need land, resources, anything to survive. You learn this from a captured officer before he's executed. He begs for mercy. He has a family. His country is dying. The king orders him hanged anyway. After the 3rd battle, you're resting in your tent when the king summons you. You find him in his command tent poring over maps with his advisors. "We've won," he says. "They're retreating, but I want to make sure they never come back." "What do you mean, Your Majesty?" He looks at you. "I'm going to burn their capital. Every building, every home, salt the earth. Leave nothing." You stare at him. "That's tens of thousands of people. Civilians." "Enemies," he corrects. "If we leave them alive, they'll rebuild and attack us again in 10 years. Better to end it now." "That's not war, that's..." "Victory," he interrupts. "This is what victory looks like. You've been a soldier long enough to know that. You have been a soldier long enough to know he's wrong. But you're also a knight. You swore an oath, loyalty above all, so you say nothing. The capital of the Northern Kingdom falls in 3 days. The defenders are exhausted, starving, outnumbered. When the gates break, it's not a battle, it's a slaughter. You're ordered to lead a battalion into the city. Your job is to secure the inner districts and ensure no one escapes. What you find is hell. The royal army isn't just killing soldiers, they're killing everyone. Old men, women, children. The streets run red, buildings are torched. You watch a soldier drag a screaming girl from her home. You watch another loot a shop while the owner bleeds out on the floor. You try to stop it. You order your men to hold, to show restraint. Some listen, most don't, because they have orders from the king, and those orders are clear. Leave nothing. You find yourself standing in a burning square, sword in hand, surrounded by chaos. A woman runs past you, clutching a baby. A soldier chases her. You step in front of him. Stand down, you say. He looks at you like you're insane. The king's orders. I said stand down. He hesitates. Then he spits at your feet and walks away. The woman escapes into an alley. You don't follow. You just stand there, surrounded by fire and screams, and realize something terrible. You're the villain in this story. That night you sit in your tent and stare at your sword, the blade you were given when you were knighted, the symbol of everything you've worked for. It's covered in blood. Most of it not from combat. Sir Edwin finds you. He's older now, greyer, slower, but he's still here. Hell of a day, he says. You don't respond. He sits beside you. You're thinking about leaving. I'm thinking about what we've become. We're soldiers. We follow orders. Those weren't orders. That was murder. He's quiet for a long time then. Yeah, it was. So why are we still here? Because where else would we go? It's a good question. You don't have an answer. 3 days later, you're summoned to the king's tent. He's in a good mood. The war is over. The enemy is destroyed. He's already planning victory parades. You did well, he says. I'm promoting you. You'll lead the king's guard now. Full command. It's everything you should want. Power, prestige, wealth. You hear yourself say, I can't accept. The tent goes silent. His advisors stare at you like you've grown a second head. The king leans forward. Excuse me? I can't serve you any more, your majesty, not after this. His expression doesn't change, but his eyes go cold. You swore an oath. I swore to defend the kingdom, not to butcher innocents. Those were enemies. They were people. He stands. So do you. For a moment you think he's going to have you arrested, executed. Instead, he smiles. It's not a kind smile. You're dismissed, he says quietly. Go back to Castle Blackmere, stay there, and pray I forget this conversation. You spend 6 months at Castle Blackmere trying to forget. It doesn't work. Every time you close your eyes, you see that burning city. You hear the screams. Lord Carwick is disappointed but understanding. The king is difficult, he admits, but he's kept the kingdom strong. At what cost? He doesn't answer. Then, one night, you receive a visitor. A hooded figure slips into your quarters after midnight. You reach for your sword. Peace, the figure says, pulling back the hood. It's one of the king's former advisors, a man you recognize from court. He looks terrified. I need your help, he says. With what? Stopping him. He explains. There's a group of nobles, military leaders, even some clergy who believe the king has gone too far. He's bankrupting the kingdom with endless wars. He's alienating allies. He's ruling through fear, and fear only lasts so long. They're planning a coup. They want to remove him from power, put someone else on the throne, someone reasonable. And you want me to help, you ask? We need someone inside, someone he trusts, or used to trust. I'm not an assassin. We're not asking you to kill him. We're asking you to open a gate. He spreads a map on your table. The capital, the royal castle. There's a postern gate on the east side. It's always guarded, but if someone with your authority ordered the guards away for an hour, our men could slip in, take the throne room, arrest the king, bloodless. You're asking me to betray him? We're asking you to save the kingdom. You stare at the map, at the little mark showing the gate. Such a small thing, such a simple act, such a monstrous betrayal of everything you've sworn. I need time, you say. You have 3 days. He leaves. You sit alone in the dark, staring at that map, and realize you're standing at the edge of a cliff. Behind you is everything you've been. A knight, a soldier, a man of honor. Ahead of you is everything you could become. A traitor, a kingslayer, a man who broke his oath. But also, maybe a man who saved thousands of lives. You don't sleep that night, or the next. On the 3rd night, you make your decision. You ride back to the capital. You tell no one where you're going or why. You carry the map folded in your tunic. Getting into the castle is easy. You're still technically part of the king's guard, even if you've been on unofficial leave. The guards nod as you pass. Some even salute. You feel like a ghost. You find the postern gate at midnight. 2 guards are posted, you know them both. Good men, loyal. I need you to take a break, you tell them. They look confused. Sir, we're not supposed to leave our post? I'll stand watch. Go, 1 hour. They hesitate. But you're a knight. You outrank them, so they go. You're alone at the gate. The conspirators arrive 20 minutes later. 50 men, armed but moving quietly. Their leader nods to you. You nod back. You open the gate. They pour in like water through a crack. Silent, efficient, professional. You stand there, holding the gate open, and feel your entire life collapse. Then the screaming starts. It wasn't supposed to be bloodless. The conspirators lied, or their plan failed, or the king's guards fought back harder than expected. You don't know. You're not there. But you hear it. The sounds of battle echoing through the castle. Swords, shouting, death. You run toward the throne room. You have to know. You have to see. What you find is carnage. The throne room is a battlefield, bodies everywhere. The conspirators fought their way in, but the king's guard responded. It's chaos. And in the centre of it all, the king. He's still alive, still fighting. He's cut down 3 men already, blood streaking his face, crown somehow still on his head. He sees you. His eyes widen. Not with fear, with betrayal. You, he breathes. You don't move. You can't. One of the conspirators rushes him. The king turns, but he's too slow. The sword goes through his chest. He falls. The room goes silent. The king lies on the floor, bleeding out, and his eyes are still on you. Not angry, just sad. Why? He whispers. You open your mouth. No words come. He dies before you can answer. The price. The coup succeeds. The conspirators take control. A new king is crowned, a distant cousin with a better temperament and weaker ambitions. The kingdom doesn't fall apart. In fact, it stabilizes. The endless wars stop. Taxes decrease. The people cautiously celebrate. You're hailed as a hero by the conspirators, the man who made it possible, the knight who chose the kingdom over blind loyalty. They offer you lands, titles, a position in the new court. You refuse everything. Because you know what you are, you know what you did. You opened the gate, you betrayed your oath. You killed your king as surely as if you'd held the sword yourself. The official story is sanitized. The old king was a tyrant, the coup was necessary. You're written into history as a reluctant hero who made a hard choice. But you know the truth. You return to Castle Blackmere. Lord Carwick is dead now, passed in his sleep. Sir Edwin followed a month later. Your old life is gone. You take a small plot of land far from the capital. You live alone. You don't take squires. You don't train knights. You don't even wear your armour anymore. People still recognise you sometimes. Some call you a hero, others call you a traitor. You don't correct either of them. Both are true. 20 years pass. You're in your late 40s now. Your hair is grey. Your joints ache. The scars from a lifetime of fighting have turned into constant companions. You're sitting outside your small house one evening when a young man approaches. He's maybe 18, wearing simple travelling clothes, but he carries himself like a soldier. Are you the knight? He asks. I was. The one who betrayed the king? You look at him. Yes. Good, he says. He sits down beside you uninvited. I need to know how you did it. Why? Because I'm serving a king now, and he's just like yours was, and I don't know what to do. You're silent for a long time. The sun is setting. The world is quiet except for birds and wind. Finally you speak. You want me to tell you it was worth it, that I saved the kingdom and now I sleep easy. Did you? No. I betrayed everything I believed in. I broke an oath I swore. Before God, I opened a gate and men died because of it. I think about it every single day. But the kingdom is better now, isn't it? Yes, it is. So it was worth it. You look at him. This young, earnest boy who thinks there are simple answers. That's for you to decide, you say. But know this. If you betray your oath, even for good reasons, you don't get to call yourself a knight anymore. You don't get honour. You don't get peace. You get to live with what you did, forever. And if I don't, if I stay loyal, then you get to watch people suffer and know you could have stopped it. He stares at you. That's not a choice. No, you agree. It's not. It's a trade. And you'll spend the rest of your life wondering if you made the right one. He sits with that for a while, then he stands. Thank you, he says. Don't thank me, I didn't help you. Yes, you did. He walks away. You watch him go. You don't know what he'll choose. You don't know if he'll end up like you, sitting alone 20 years later, haunted by ghosts. You hope not. But you know how these stories go. You turn back to the sunset. The sky is red. It always looks like fire, like blood. You close your eyes, and you remember the gate, the screaming, the king's last words. Why? You still don't have an answer. Maybe you never will. The knight who betrayed his kingdom became a legend. Some say he was a hero, some say he was a traitor. The truth, as always, is somewhere in between. He died alone 23 years after the coup. No family, no honours, just a small grave in an unmarked field. But his choice echoed through history, and every knight who came after him had to ask the same question. Where does loyalty end and conscience begin? There's still no good answer. There never was.